This here is the Alfa Romeo Giulietta Quadrofoglio Verde. Forgive my Italian, it means cloverleaf in English, and it's Alfa's attempt to out-GTi the Golf GTi. On paper, it's got everything it needs to knock the GTi or the Focus ST off their perch. First of all, it's got the looks. Secondly, it's got the engine, the same unit they use in Alfa's baby supercar, the 4C. Plus, it's got bags of character. Let's talk about those looks. It doesn't scream, "look at me." Instead, it's a picture of understated elegance, but there are lots of little touches that hint that this is just a little bit special. There's the Cloverleaf badge, which is a symbol of nearly 100 years of Alfa racing heritage. The 18-inch alloy wheels, which have huge circular cutouts, give you just enough of a glimpse of those red calipers to show you that this car means business. And then, of course, there's the Alfa badge itself, which, in case you didn't know, is pretty badass. That cross, well, that represents an old Christian symbol that they used to use back in the Crusades, and they were pretty violent back in the day. And as for the snake eating a human, well, that represents a snake eating a human. And depending on who you ask, it's either a human child or an adult Saracen or more. And that's what they used to call Muslims back in the day. I don't know, crazy Italians. But look, this one opens the very generously sized boot. Character. So the exterior is lovely, and it's the same story inside. It's beautiful in here, and again, full of character. This dashboard is one of the best designs I've seen in a long time, but it's made of the cheapest plastic known to mankind. Character. Plus the instrument display isn't written in English. Benzina, I think, is petrol, and aqua, probably water. I don't understand it, but again, character. Plus the seats, absolutely wonderful to look at. Unfortunately, they're the most uncomfortable things you could ever sit on, and there's no electrical adjustment. They're actually a massive pain in the ass. But again, character. On the road, my first impressions of the Giulietta are kind of a mixed bag, really. I had to kind of sit behind the wheel of this car for a long time to really understand it and feel it and know what it's all about. To me, initially, it just didn't feel all that special. I thought that when you jump behind the wheel of an Alfa Romeo, you get this kind of magical feeling, especially when it's a cloverleaf, and that's kind of missing. That's not to say it's bad though. The driving position is excellent. Everything feels like right where it's supposed to be. The steering wheel is just the right distance away, and there's a reasonable amount of adjustment in terms of pushing it forward and backward and tilting it up and down. The pedals are well spaced as well. There's a good gap between the accelerator and the brake, and there's a place to rest your left foot. There are 3 driving modes in this car, all accessible via the DNA selector switch. There's D, N, and A. D stands for dynamic, N stands for natural or normal, and A stands for awful, actually all weather, but you get my drift. Let's talk about N first and foremost. It really softens the car up. That's the mode you put in if you were giving this car to your grandma or your inexperienced cousin or something, because the throttle response isn't very good, the steering's a bit light and woolly, and the car just feels a bit unresponsive generally. N is okay for some people, but for me, nah, screw N. A, like I said, that's for all-weather driving. It feels like it robs the car of about 90% of its power. You accelerate and it does absolutely nothing. I can never see myself using that, even if I'm driving in a blizzard. Switch it into D and that virtually transforms the Giulietta QV. It's like a whole different car. Throttle response is sharper, the steering feels sharper, everything feels more precise, more sorted. It basically takes it from tepid family car to exciting hot hatch. The 1.75 litre engine from the 4C delivers about 237 brake horsepower and 340 Newton meters of torque, so it's pretty meaty. Alfa reckon about 80% of the torque is accessible from about 1800 RPM, but I reckon you don't really feel it until about 3000. That's when the turbos kick in and things get exciting. 0 to 60 happens in 6 seconds dead. Now the Ford Focus ST and the Golf GTi take about 6.5 seconds, so this will leave them for dead in a straight line. Most of that straight line speed is down to the dual clutch gearbox. It doesn't come with a manual, and that means it can rattle off gear changes really quickly most of the time. It's even got a launch control mode. Let me show you how that works. So I'll pull up, stop, whack it into D, left foot on the brake, accelerate. It will then take me to about 3,000 RPM, off the brake, and it will give you just enough wheel spin, just enough aggression to get you off the line. 0 to 60, 6 seconds dead. Talk about character. In a straight line, this car's got it in spades. Again though, all of that character that I've been talking about, the Giulietta giving with one hand and taking away with the other, it's present in the performance of this car as well. That gearbox, which is so rapid and lets you change gear so quickly and accelerate so hard, is so unenjoyable to use. It's kind of rubbish, really. In a manual car, you know when you've changed gear because you bang it in by yourself. In a good automatic, you know when you've changed gear because you can feel it kick you in the back. In this, the gear changes are muted and indistinct. You don't really feel them. Half the time, it won't even give you the gear you want. If you're in 5th, it won't give you 4th. If you're in 4th, it won't give you 3rd. Instead, all you get is this beeping noise. Computer says no. It thinks it knows better than you. It thinks it's smarter than the driver. Screw that. The handling's kind of the same story. It feels fine at 8/10, which means you can drive it kind of fast and it feels like it's doing the job. But if you push beyond that, try and get to the limit, things fall apart pretty quickly. In a Ford Focus ST or a Golf GTi, you push it to the limit and they reward you. You feel like you're learning something as a driver. Push the QV hard and it feels like either you or the car aren't really cut out for it. On the edge, it shows its true character. And that character is a bit of a disappointment. The Giulietta QV is a fabulous idea. Fast, beautiful, practical. It should work on every level. And it would, if only for the fact that there are other cars out there that do almost everything better and for less money. It's difficult to recommend if you're making a buying decision with your head, but it does start to make more sense if you're choosing a car purely with your heart. If you're looking for a car that will help you stand out from the crowd, that doesn't scream boy racer, yet is still properly quick in a straight line at least, and you don't mind paying over the odds, if you're looking for a car with character above all else, then this could be just the ticket. Until now, this is its replacement, the Nissan Pulsar.